discover how a heartwarming revelation exposed her hidden wealth, transforming their lives forever. Every morning, Sarah woke up before the sun painted the sky in shades of orange and pink. She'd slam the alarm off, take a deep breath, and roll out of bed, feeling the weight of her long day cling to her like a heavy cloak. With 2 kids to get ready and 3 jobs to juggle, each moment felt like juggling fire. The whisper of economic inequality haunted her as she scraped together every penny, stretching meals into pieces that would barely satisfy. But despite the stress, at the very core of her tired heart was resolute love for her children. As she busily poured cereal for little Emily and Jacob, her mind raced. The kind neighbors, who've become an unexpected family while she struggled, had made sure her kids always had clothes. The warmth of friendship wrapped around her as the local shopkeeper, Mr. Johnson, handed her groceries with a wink and a smile, no judgment attached. Those gestures filled her with gratitude. They reminded her that though money was tight, love was abundant. Then came the day Sarah received a letter that would change everything. She squinted at the ink on the yellowed paper, heart racing as it spoke of a dilapidated farmhouse she had inherited from a distant relative. Her first reaction was dread, a crumbling hunk of doubt tied to the memories of her late father, a veteran who fought for his country and instilled in her the values of integrity and resilience. The farmhouse felt heavy, another weight on her shoulders, another reminder of dreams deferred. But as she stepped inside, taking in the creaking floorboards and cracked walls, something unexpected flickered inside her. A vision began to form, a welcoming home filled with laughter, love, and possibility for her kids. Dim light streamed through the dusty windows, casting patterns that glinted like hope. And just like that, Sarah wasn't just a single mother struggling. She was a warrior ready to breathe life into her family's history. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. The community didn't take long to rally around her as they had done before. Neighbors brought tools and labor, offering time and talent to turn the old farmhouse into a home. With every nail driven into the wood, Sarah felt a resurgence of strength within her. Digging through the attic, she uncovered family treasures, old photographs, and letters that captivated her heart. There, amidst the dust, she found an heirloom. It shined with a promise she could hardly breathe, not just of wealth, but the kind that connected past and present, a metaphor for her journey. The whispers floated through town about the heirloom's potential value. Sarah froze, her heart racing at the crossroads she faced. Sell it to lift her family from grim financial chains, or weave it back into the community that had cradled her in hard times. Each choice seemed to echo her worth, not just as a mother, but as a person. Standing in the half-renovated farmhouse, with her children laughing nearby, she knew she'd discovered something far greater than any dollar amount. As she pondered her next step, a sudden knock at the door interrupted her thoughts, revealing a visitor with ties to her family's past. She felt her heart skip a beat, questions swirling like leaves in the autumn wind. What could this mean for her future? What unexpected journey awaited? The door creaked open, and in stood a man with kind eyes, weathered by time yet alert with purpose. He wore a cap that shielded tufts of gray hair, and his hands, worn and calloused, clutched a leather satchel. For a moment, Sarah studied him, the air thick with unspoken stories. "Sarah?" he ventured, unsure but hopeful. "Yes, that's me," she replied, cautious yet intrigued. "I'm Thomas, your great-uncle," he said with a gentle smile. "I've come to talk about your inheritance." A wave of disbelief washed over her. Family she had never known about had suddenly appeared right at her doorstep. Confusion tangled with curiosity, questions raged within. What did he know about the farmhouse? About her father? "Come in," Sarah urged, stepping aside to let him into the dim living room. The threadbare furniture felt even more inadequate now, as if the walls themselves were straining to hear his revelations. Thomas took in the room with a mix of nostalgia and concern. "I haven't seen this place in years. It's a real patchwork of memories, isn't it?" She nodded, taken aback by his familiarity. "I just found out about it. I'm not sure what to do." The weight of her responsibilities fell heavier as she spoke. With a reassuring smile, he set down his satchel and opened it, revealing a collection of ornate items nestled inside family photographs, a tea set that sparkled with history, and a delicate necklace that caught the light. "These belong to you. They're part of our family legacy. Your father would want you to have them." Sarah's breath hitched. She hadn't known this side of her family existed, nor had she considered that her father's past could be woven into something so tangible. But as she picked up the necklace, she felt the cool metal against her skin, and a warmth settled in her heart. "Your father and I had our disagreements," Thomas began, his gaze drifting. "But he always admired your strength. He believed in family, Sarah. It's what binds us." The words resonated deeply. Sarah had been fighting so hard to keep her own little family together. Hearing this connection added another layer to her already complicated feelings. "What do you plan to do with the farmhouse?" Thomas asked, breaking through her thoughts. Sarah hesitated, weighing the farm's potential against her emotional ties to the community. "I want to turn it into a home. For my kids, for the community. I want to give back." The old man grinned, pride sparkling in his eyes. "You're already a part of the legacy, you know? This house holds stories worth sharing." A spark of courage ignited in her chest. "But the heirloom, I'm torn. Should I keep it as a family treasure or sell it to ease our financial worries?" "Family isn't about material wealth," he replied, his voice steady. "It's about what we create together and how we honor those who came before us." As she listened, Sarah felt her heart expand. This wasn't just about the farmhouse or the heirloom, it was about weaving her family's past into the fabric of her life today. But just as hope began to blossom, a loud crash echoed from the other room. Panic surged through her. "Emily! Jacob!" she shouted, rushing towards the noise. Thomas followed closely, concern etched across his face. What had happened? Was their safe haven about to crumble again just when it seemed they were building something beautiful? As she reached the threshold, she took a deep breath, steeling herself for whatever lay ahead. The moment of truth arrived, and Sarah could feel the weight of destiny heavy on her shoulders. Would they be able to overcome this unexpected twist, or would her dreams shatter like glass? As she burst through the doorway, Sarah's heart raced, an echo of fear pounding in her chest. Emily and Jacob were huddled on the floor, wide-eyed, surrounded by a shattered lamp and scattered toys. The room, once filled with laughter and warmth, now seemed disheveled, like her thoughts. "Are you guys okay?" she yelled, quickly kneeling to survey the scene. Emily nodded, her pigtails bouncing, while Jacob rubbed his arm, a frown etched across his face. She let out a shaky breath, relief washing over her. Thomas stepped beside her, surveying the chaos with a furrowed brow. "Kids can be wild, can't they?" he asked, a gentle smile returning to his lips. "They don't know the meaning of quiet," Sarah replied, a glint of humor breaking through her anxiety. But then her heart sank, recalling the financial strain the broken lamp would add to their already thin budget. "Mom, I didn't mean to." Jacob stumbled over words, his guilt palpable. "I was trying to play like the superheroes." "Then let us clean this up, superhero." She ruffled his hair before ushering them to pick up the pieces of the lamp. Watching them work together, her heart swelled with pride, but a lingering unease remained. Could she really manage their lives when everything felt so precarious? As they cleaned, Thomas spoke softly. "It's easy to let worries consume us, but remember, you have a family now, Sarah. You're not alone in this." She glanced up at him, feeling the weight of his gaze. "What if I'm not strong enough?" But he shook his head. "You're already stronger than you think. It's in your blood." His words resonated deeply, wrapping around her like a warm embrace. Just then, her phone buzzed on the table, pulling her from the moment of connection. It was a text one that sent a chill racing up her spine. "We need to talk about the house." "Who is it?" Thomas asked, noticing her immediate change in demeanor. It's from the bank." She felt the color drain from her face. "They want to reassess the mortgage, possibly foreclose." Panic clawed at her throat, but she took a steadying breath. "I can't let them take my father's place, my children's future." Thomas placed a firm hand on her shoulder. "We'll face this together. You have a cousin who might help too." "I only recently learned of my connection." "Cousins?" she asked, surprised. "Yes," he smiled, "and I think he can provide support. You don't have to handle this alone, Sarah." The hope in his voice kindled a flicker of optimism within her chest. "What if he's wrong? What if this nightmare consumes us? Then we fight," Thomas declared with fierce determination. "We're family, and we stand together. Just as your father would have wanted." The weight of his words sank in. Sarah felt a warmth bloom inside her. Perhaps family was the anchor she desperately needed in this storm. As they finished tidying the room, she looked around at the evidence of her children's lives woven through the disarray: a drawing of a house on the refrigerator, toys strewn across the floor, a dance party overtaking the living room. In this chaos, she discovered beauty and connection, a reminder that she wasn't alone in her struggle. "Okay, we can do this together," she said, surprising herself with the confidence in her voice. But just as hope began to blossom anew, her phone vibrated again. A second message appeared, this one from an unknown number. "Meet me tomorrow, urgent." What was this about? Who was this stranger, and what could they possibly want? The air thickened with tension, and Sarah could feel the weight of her uncertain future pressing against her. She exchanged worried glances with Thomas, the unsettling anxiety growing between them. Would another revelation push her further into despair or pull her closer to the strength she desperately wanted? The question hung in the air, heavy with anticipation. The next morning came too quickly, bringing with it the weight of uncertainty that lingered from the night before. Sarah sat at the kitchen table, her coffee long cold, staring at the clock as if willing it to move faster. Emily and Jacob were already up, their laughter filling the space with fleeting joy, momentarily lifting the shadows that crept through her mind. "Mom, can we play outside?" Jacob's eyes sparkled with youthful glee. "Just give me a minute, sweetheart," she said, forcing a smile. The children didn't have to know about the looming threat above their home. When the clock struck 10, a reminder of the pending meeting loomed in her thoughts. She felt the familiar knot in her stomach tighten as the unknown taunted her. Who could this stranger be? What would they want? Right on cue, her phone buzzed again. "Come to the cafe on Maple. I'll be in a red jacket." The message was brief, even colder than the morning air outside. She glanced out the window, where the sun was shining brightly. Yet inside her, the clouds of apprehension gathered. After gathering herself, she changed into a light sweater, taking a moment to breathe deeply. Sarah glanced at the kids, now wrapped up in a game of tag, their faces flushed with excitement. She didn't want to lose this rare moment of bliss. "Okay, kiddos. I'm stepping out for a bit. Play nice," she called as she slipped out the door, leaving the comfort of her home behind. Walking towards the cafe felt surreal, as anxiety wove in and out of her thoughts. The streets were alive with the rhythmic rush of life, but Sarah felt adrift, a solitary island in a sea of chatter. When she stepped inside the cafe, the rich scent of coffee swirled around her, momentarily easing her resolve. Her eyes scanned the room until they caught sight of the red jacket, an older man, silver hair glinting in the morning light. He looked up as she approached, an open smile forming on his face. "Sarah, right?" he said warmly, extending his hand. "Yes. You must be?" "Marcus." "Your cousin," he replied, the ease in his demeanor infectious. Sarah shook his hand, still unsure how to feel about this unexpected connection. "I didn't know I had family in the area." "It's a long story," he began, gesturing to a table in the corner. "But let us focus on you and why I'm here." As they took their seats, Marcus leaned in, his expression shifting to a more serious note. "I got your message from Thomas. He mentioned some difficulties you're facing with the house." Heat flushed her cheeks, a mixture of embarrassment and hope surging through her. "Yes, I might have something that could help," he interrupted gently. "I inherited a small estate recently, and I believe your father had a stake in it as well. I'm hoping we can sort it out together." Her breath caught in her throat. "What do you mean by a stake?" "I mean it's worth a good amount. Enough to keep you from losing the house," he explained. "But I need your help to claim what's rightfully yours." A wild mixture of emotions bubbled up: relief, skepticism, excitement. "Are you serious?" "Absolutely. I wouldn't be here otherwise," he assured her. As she processed this hidden piece of her past, Marcus's voice began to drown in a whirlwind of thoughts. Could this be the miracle she had been praying for? But the thrill was short-lived as a thought snagged her mind. What is the catch? There was always a catch, wasn't he there? Marcus leaned back, studying her. No catch, just some paperwork and a little patience. Families should help each other. She felt the glowing embers of hope start to ignite within, but uncertainty loomed in the background. Could she really trust this cousin, this man, and the uncertain path ahead? As Sarah grappled with the reality of this revelation, a new message blinked on her phone. "I know where you are. Let's talk." Her heart dropped. What else was coming her way, and was it more than she could handle? With every decision layering upon the last, she had to wonder, could family truly be the answer, or was tragedy lying in wait? Sarah's heart raced as she read the words on her phone, a chilling reminder that the stakes were higher than she ever imagined. She tore her gaze away from the screen, taking a breath to steady herself. The cafe buzzed around her, the clatter of cups and the murmur of patrons competing with her chaotic thoughts. "Everything okay?" Marcus asked, his brow furrowed with concern. Yes. Just a message from my neighbor," she managed, though the lie tasted bitter on her tongue. She couldn't let him know she was teetering on the edge of panic. In the middle of a cafe discussion about family fortunes? He chuckled lightly, but there was a seriousness to his eyes. "You seem troubled." The warmth in his tone was disarming. She wanted to believe he was genuine, that he wasn't just some stranger with hidden motives. But her instincts screamed at her. The grip of fear tightened around her, squeezing every ounce of clarity from her mind. "Can we just focus on what you were saying?" she asked, trying to shift her focus back to Marcus. "Of course," he nodded, diving back into the importance of their conversation. "What I have might not fix everything overnight, but it can give you a fighting chance. You deserve that." She felt a wave of emotion wash over her. Marcus seemed sincere, and the prospect of securing a future for her children felt tantalizingly close. But how could she hope for something so uncertain? How could she risk their safety, both financially and emotionally, in pursuit of potential wealth? "What do we need to do?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "First, we need to gather the necessary documents," he said, his demeanor brightening. "Tax records, proof of ownership, and anything that links you or your father to the estate. It's not complicated, but it might take some digging." "How do I even know this is real?" she challenged, feeling defensive. She wasn't raised to trust easily. "You could be pulling my leg." Marcus leaned forward, intensity in his gaze. "I wouldn't play with your future like that. I want to help. We could be a family again, and I don't want you to lose what you have." His words pierced through the shroud of doubt wrapping around her. Family. The idea had slipped from her life like water through fingers, yet here was Marcus, a piece of that forgotten puzzle. As her mind twisted and turned, struggling with possibilities, she caught a glimpse of a man in a dark coat outside the cafe window, standing too still. Something felt off about him, and the world outside seemed to fade into a blur. "Sarah?" Marcus's voice broke her concentration. "What about that guy?" she said, nodding toward the window, anxiety sharpening her senses. The man's gaze was fixed on her with unsettling intensity. Marcus turned, eyebrows knitting together. "I don't see, just give me a second," she interrupted, heart hammering as she tried to focus. She grabbed her phone, feeling an oppressive pressure mounting in her chest. The dark figure moved slightly, stepping into the light. Sarah's breath caught as recognition swept over her. "Oh my God, it's him. I need to go." "Who is that?" Marcus asked, worry etching his features. "It's someone I know." I have to get back to the kids. Panic clenched her, making it hard to think straight. The urgency of family and potential danger intertwined in her chest. As she stood up, the door of the cafe swung open. Time slowed, and she felt every heartbeat drumming in sync with her fear. With that one moment, both hope and dread seemed poised to collide. "Sarah, wait," Marcus called as she bolted towards the exit. She pushed through, heading into the warmth of the sun-kissed street, bracing herself for whatever lay ahead. The man was gone, but his shadow lingered ominously in her mind. Questions swirled within her. Was this the moment everything would change, or would it lead her deeper into chaos? And as the world pointed towards the unknown, one thought remained persistent: what else was coming for her, and who could she really trust? The streets outside the cafe felt alive, the sun casting a golden glow that contrasted sharply with the tension coiling in Sarah's stomach. She took a moment to breathe deeply, both feet planted on the sidewalk, trying to ground herself. Her heart raced, each pulse echoing the shock of recognition. "Sarah." Marcus's voice came from behind her, filled with urgency. She could hear his footsteps pounding after her, but her mind was racing too fast. She had to protect her children, and that was all that mattered. "Just a second," she called back, her breath hitching as she turned to scan the street. Where had the man gone? She felt exposed, like a deer in headlights. Then she saw him again, slipping into an alley, dark coat rustling against the backdrop of the brick walls. Chills crawled along her skin. Who is he? And why did he send a stab of fear through her heart? "Sarah." Don't. Marcus's words faded as the world blurred around her. Adrenaline surged, her instincts driving her forward. She had to know. "Stay back," she shouted, but the words felt weak, dissolving into the air. Rushing into the alley, she followed the shadow. Could it really be Liam? After all this time? The thought festered in her mind like an open wound, raw and painful. She had to confront him, perhaps to ask why he left so suddenly. She wanted closure. As she turned the corner, her breath caught in her throat. There he stood, Liam, the man who had vanished from her life without a moment's notice. "You shouldn't be here," he said, voice low and edged with tension. "Why did you come back?" The question escaped her, filled with confusion and trapped anger. As memories crashed over her of laughter shared, a life built, and then abruptly shattered, her resolve wavered. His gaze softened for just a moment. "I had to find you. It's south about the estate and the kids." Panic surged again, this time mingling with a flicker of hope. "What do you mean, the estate?" "Your father's, well, there's more to it than you know," he pressed, urgency lacing his words. "There's more money than anyone suspected. But it's complicated, and I couldn't tell you before." Marcus's presence loomed at the alley's mouth, concern etched across his features. "Are you okay?" He came closer, eyes darting between Sarah and Liam. Her heart raced anew, caught between the past and the present, torn between the man who had once promised her the moon and the stranger whose intentions she couldn't yet trust. "Stay back, Marcus," she called sharply, wanting to shield both men from each other. Liam stepped closer, lowering his voice. "If you hear me out, you might be able to claim what's rightfully yours. Your father never wanted it to fall into the wrong hands. He wanted you to be safe." "Safe from what?" Her voice shook. The words hung in the air, heavy with implications she couldn't fully grasp. "The wrong people. There are others who might come looking for the fortune too. Those who would hurt you, hurt the kids." His dark eyes flashed with seriousness she knew was not just for show. Suddenly, the weight of the world crashed down on her. What was lurking beneath the surface of her father's legacy? And why did it feel like danger was now woven into the very fabric of her family's future? "Sarah, you need to choose," Marcus said softly, stepping closer, but still holding his distance. "Do you trust him? Or do you trust me?" Caught in an emotional whirlwind, Sarah's mind raced. The future she had envisioned was fracturing, and the path forward was uncertain. "I need time to think," she finally managed, her voice resolute but trembling. As she turned to walk away from both men, the ground felt unsteady beneath her feet. Had she just opened a door to a world filled with both promise and peril? And what would the next revelation cost her? With one last look over her shoulder, she vowed to find answers. Because the shadows of the past were not meant to be swept away. They were meant to be faced. And in that moment, uncertainty loomed like a storm on the horizon. What would she uncover about her father's secrets, and what would it mean for those she loved most? Sarah stepped back into the sunlight, her head spinning with the weight of Liam's words. The warmth of the day felt foreign now, almost a mockery of her heartbreak. She could still see his shadow retreating into the alley, his face a mix of desperation and regret. Did he really have the answers she sought, or was this another game of smoke and mirrors? Stumbling forward, she found a bench nearby and sank into it, her pulse racing. Marcus hesitated, caught between giving her space and the need to keep her safe. She could feel the tension in the air, thick enough to cut. "Sarah?" His voice broke through her fog. "Are you sure you're okay?" She looked up, trying to decipher the concern etched on his face. The warmth in his eyes comforted her, but a part of her was still tethered to the man who had walked out all those years ago. "I don't know, Marcus," she managed. "Liam returning it feels like a storm that swept up everything I thought I knew. Then let us sort through it together." His hand reached for hers, strong yet gentle. "You don't have to do this alone." She gazed at him, wondering how a simple moment held so much power. Marcus was always there, grounding her when chaos threatened to swallow her whole. She couldn't ignore that flicker of hope he ignited within her, but Liam's sudden reappearance shook that foundation. "Liam's back to talk about the estate," she said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. "He hinted at something dangerous." "Dangerous how?" Marcus's brow furrowed, and she could see he was ready to protect her. "Somebody's paying attention to the money. Whoever's after this fortune, it doesn't seem like they'll stop at anything to take it." Just saying the words felt like setting a trap. An avalanche of worries flooded her mind about her children. What if they come after the kids? Marcus's grip tightened. "They won tea. I won tea, let that happen. Together, we'll figure this out." His determination filled her with warmth, battling the chill that coursed through her veins. Taking a deep breath, she tried to focus. "I need to talk to Liam again. I have to know what he means. But I want you with me." "Absolutely," Marcus replied without hesitation. Yet, as they left the cafe, her thoughts swirled back to Liam. What did he know? Was there truly a fortune with strings attached? Or was it just another way to pull her back into his chaotic world? They walked down the bustling street, the sounds of laughter and music weaving around them like a blanket. But the happiness of those passing by felt distant, like a movie playing out in another reality. "Could you ever see yourself trusting him again?" Marcus asked, glancing sideways at her. I don't know." The truth hung heavy. "I want to believe he's changed, that he came back for the right reasons. But I'm scared." "Scared of what?" He pressed gently. "Scared of losing everything again, my family, my kids especially if danger's lurking." "I can't bear to think what would happen if you're not alone, Sarah," he reminded her, stopping to face her directly. "No matter how this plays out, I'll be right by your side." His words were a lifeline, but the fear was still tangible, gnawing at her. She nodded, a small gesture that felt like setting her compass. As they neared Liam's old apartment, a sense of dread clung to her. What would she find inside those worn walls? Just as she reached for the door, her heartbeat quickened. Let's be careful and ready for anything. With that thought, she pushed the door open, stepping into uncertainty. What secrets awaited her? What truths would turn her life upside down? As the door creaked open, she felt that sense of impending change. Would this encounter lead to the answers she craved or plunge her deeper into the chaos? The air hung thick with possibility, and she could feel it crackling around her. What awaited her inside that familiar place where everything fell apart? The musty air hit Sarah as she stepped over the threshold. She hesitated, momentarily caught in the memories that clung to these walls, echoes of laughter, arguments, even the quiet moments of shared silence with Liam. Time had done little to erase the past. It was all still there, like an old sweater that felt both comforting and suffocating. Marcus followed her in, scanning the room cautiously. His presence grounded her, but it didn't erase the unease coursing through her. Would Liam really have something useful to say? Or was he only here to stir more chaos? "Stay close," she whispered, glancing over her shoulder. The apartment hadn't changed much. The same scuffed linoleum and faded wallpaper, a time capsule from years ago. Yet now it felt like a battlefield, every corner fraught with hidden dangers. As she moved deeper into the space, memories flooded her mind. Liam's laughter, the way his eyes glinted with mischief, all wrapped up in a whirlwind of emotions. They had been so young, so careless. "Sarah," Marcus said softly, breaking her reverie. "We're in this together." She nodded, taking a deep breath. "I know," she replied. I need to prepare myself for whatever this is." An old chair groaned under the weight of time as she spotted Liam seated at the table, his head in his hands. He looked older, wearier, as though the years had etched deeper lines on his face. When he looked up, his eyes were hollow but sparked with determination. "I'm glad you came," he said, voice low and gravelly. "Tell me what's going on, Liam," Sarah demanded, her heart racing. She felt Marcus at her back, a steady reminder that she wasn't alone. "It's south about the estate," he began, fingers tapping nervously against the table. "There's more to it than anyone knows. Some things were hidden, dark things. You have to trust me." "Trust you?" Sarah retorted, feeling anger rise. "You've built an empire of lies, Liam. Why should I believe anything you say now?" "Because this isn't just about us anymore," he replied, his voice rising. "This involves people who don't play by the rules. They're coming after your family. They think the money is theirs, and they'll do whatever it takes to get it." Fear crashed over her like a tidal wave. "What do you mean?" she gasped, as if the walls themselves were pressing in tighter. "Those who are after the fortune aren't just thieves, they have connections. Dangerous ones." Liam leaned forward, urgency coloring his tone. "I didn't come back because I wanted to hurt you. You think I would do that again? I returned because you and the kids are in danger." Sarah felt the room spin, her heart pounding in her chest. She turned to Marcus, whose expression mirrored her shock and concern. "We can't let them harm my family," she whispered, the fear spilling from her heart into her words. "No one is touching your family," Marcus promised fiercely, his voice steady. "We'll get through this. I won't let anything happen to you or the kids." Liam's tone shifted, softening as he spoke again. "I'm willing to help, to be the ally you need. But it's going to take more than just the three of us. We'll need resources, contacts that can guide us through this." "What do you want from me?" Sarah asked cautiously, swallowing hard. He hesitated, weighing his words. "Your trust and your family's protection." The stakes couldn't feel higher. With every revelation, the web grew thicker, entangling her in worries about her loved ones. "What if you're lying, Liam? What if this is just another game?" He looked her squarely in the eyes, sincerity flooding his features. "Then I'll take the blame. All the risks. But I promise you, this is real." The air crackled with tension, a mix of hope and doubt swirling around them. Could she truly open this door, trusting a man who had caused her so much pain? As Marcus shifted beside her, ready to take on any danger that lay ahead, Sarah faced a choice: to step into an uncertain alliance forged from shared past pains or retreat back to what was safe but stagnant. Her heart raced with the weight of the decision. What path would she choose? And could it ultimately lead them to a brighter future or drag them further into darkness? The uncertainty loomed like a storm on the horizon, and Sarah stood at the precipice ready to take the leap. A charged silence filled the air, stretching thin between them. Sarah's thoughts raced. Trust was a fragile thread, and she had been burned before. Still, the urgency in Liam's voice tugged at something deep within her. I need time to think," she stammered. The weight of his return had shocked the foundation of her already shaky world. Marcus interjected, his brow knitted in concern. "Time isn't something we have. If Liam is right, they could come for you and the kids any minute." Liam nodded, urgency sparking in his eyes. "You have to believe me. They want what's yours, and they won't stop until they get it." "What do you suggest we do?" Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. It felt surreal, as if they were trapped in some twisted movie, and yet this was her life. I have contacts who can help. People who know the ins and outs of the game. Liam looked between them. We need to gather intel, find out who's after you, and prepare. Prepare for what? She pressed. A full-on battle? Because I don't want my kids in the crossfire. I know your kids are everything to you. Liam's voice softened, and for a moment, Sarah saw the man she had loved, the boy she had grown up with. I'd never put them in danger, not again. But we must act. Sarah inhaled sharply, the memories flooding her tea parties with her children, their innocent laughter slicing through the tension of the past years. Protecting them wasn't just her job, it was her lifeline. If we do this, if I give you my trust, she murmured, what's your plan? Liam leaned in, his intensity evident. We'll create a network. Gather information. Make sure you know who is coming after you. Trust me this time. I'm not the same person I was before. She studied him, seeking any hint of deception. And what do you want in return? Just your faith, Sarah. To work together again. He reached for the table, gripping it as though it anchored him. And to protect your family. Don't forget that I have Marcus, she reminded him, glancing back at the man who stood resolute at her side. He's not going anywhere. But this isn't about us anymore, Liam shot back, frustration bubbling under the surface. This is bigger. The air crackled, tension palpable with every word. Sarah felt torn. The urge to close that door swung in her mind like a pendulum. Could she open up again to someone she had fully shuttered off? Fine, she finally said, heart pounding. Let us figure out who these people are. But I'm doing this on my terms. Whatever you need, Liam acquiesced, relief washing over him. Marcus stepped forward, placing an arm around Sarah's shoulder. We'll face this together. The three of us. The trio huddled closer, and for a brief moment, it felt as if they were a family again. But fear threaded through their unity. Images danced in Sarah's head, silhouettes lurking in shadows, threats whispering in the night. Remember, trust is earned, not given, she said firmly. One slip up from you, Liam, and I'll walk away without looking back. I understand, he replied, the sincerity in his gaze making her hesitate ever so slightly. As they began to map out a plan, the weight of the moment pressed heavily on Sarah. Each revelation turned a page in a story she wasn't sure she was ready to rewrite. The path ahead was fraught with uncertainty and peril. Suddenly, a sound broke their concentration, a loud thud from the back of the apartment. Sarah's heart raced as her instincts kicked in. What was that? She asked, pulse thumping in her ears. Stay behind me, Marcus instructed, as Liam positioned himself closer to the noise. Fear coiled tightly around them, and Sarah felt the air grow even heavier with tension. Whatever was coming next could change everything. Are we ready for this? She whispered to herself. But before she could second-guess, another thud rang through the room, chilling her down to the bone. As they exchanged worried glances, the door creaked ominously, and Sarah knew, deep down, that this was only the beginning. What awaited them on the other side could either bind them together or tear them apart. Who's there? Liam called out, voice steady yet strained. A shadow shifted just beyond the threshold, and dread washed over her. What had they just stepped into? The figure stepped forward, illuminated by the light spilling in from the window. Sarah's heart leaped into her throat as a familiar face emerged from the darkness. Tommy, an old friend from the neighborhood, but he looked troubled, almost ghost-like. Tommy? What are you doing here? Sarah's voice faltered as fear spiraled through her. What chaos had he brought with him? I had to warn you, he gasped, breathless and wide-eyed. They're looking for you. They've been asking questions, and I overheard something dangerous. You have to get out of here. Panic surged through her. Who is looking for me? People connected to the estate, he whispered urgently, glancing around as if he feared being overheard. They want the money, Sarah. They're ruthless. They'll do anything to claim it. At that moment, everything felt like it was unraveling. Sarah's mind raced. There was no time to waste. She turned to Marcus, who stood ready, and then to Liam, whose expression had shifted from stubborn determination to grim acceptance. "Tommy, we can't stay here. We need to," she began. "The car," he interrupted. "I'll take you through the back exit. It's the only way out for now." "Liam, Marcus," Sarah called out, urgency pouring from her. "We have to move. Now." They hustled, following Tommy through the maze of the apartment. Every noise seemed amplified, every creak of the floorboards felt deafening. Sarah clutched her breath as adrenaline coursed through her veins. Racing down the narrow hallway, they reached the back door, its frame worn but sturdy. Tommy threw it open and beckoned them through. Stepping into the alleyway, the cool air hit her like a splash of cold water. It was time to leave the past behind. Time to protect her future. The hum of the street wrapped around them as they emerged onto the lively sidewalk. Sunlight greeted them, but it felt different, charged with a raw energy that made her uneasy. The community she had fought so hard to protect was now wrapped in danger. "Over there." Tommy pointed to a nearby car with its engine idling. "I'll drive." They scrambled in, Sarah's heart hammering as awareness of the stakes settled deep in her bones. "You know how to work these streets?" she asked, looking at Tommy. "Yeah, I did whatever I could to help back then. I won to let you down. Let us move then," Marcus urged, his eyes darting around for threats they couldn't see. As they sped away, the world blurred outside, chaotic and loud. But for Sarah, it was both a curse and a blessing. They had to figure out how to safeguard the legacy, the farmhouse, and most importantly, her children. "What's the plan, Sarah?" Marcus asked, concern etched into his features. "I don't know," she admitted finally, her heart heavy with uncertainty. "But I want to let anything happen to my kids. Family matters above all else." "Then we need to reach out to those contacts I mentioned," Liam said, his eyes locked on hers. "Let us turn this situation to our advantage." "Absolutely," Sarah agreed, and for the first time, she felt a flicker of determination ignite within her. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again, and she flinched. The urgency of the messages echoed in her mind. Flipping it over, she saw a notification from someone she hadn't expected. "I found something. Meet me tonight." As they swerved around the corner, adrenaline coursing through her body, Sarah spoke up, "We're meeting back with those contacts tonight. It could be our chance to take back control, find out what's really at stake. But we need a strategy. We can't let emotions drive us." "Right behind you," Marcus assured her, a steady anchor in the whirlwind. "Let us situate ourselves first and analyze those around us." They raced towards a coffee shop where they could regroup, strategize, and figure out how this chapter would unfold. They needed more than plans. They needed to establish trust and work as a family. In the ensuing conversations filled with tension and focused deliberation, Sarah felt the weight of her heritage. The farmhouse wasn't just an inheritance. It symbolized strength, resilience, and everything her father believed in. Hours later, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and gold, Sarah felt revitalized. "Family isn't just about blood," she reminded herself. "It's about strength, unity, and love." As they stepped out of the cafe, Sarah glanced at Marcus and Liam, who stood steadfast at her sides, determination and purpose lighting their faces. They were a burgeoning family navigating the storm together, ready for whatever came next. But even more powerfully, she grasped the truth that family meant being ready to face the past and transform it into something extraordinary for their future. As she took a deep breath, hope filled her heart. They weren't just surviving anymore, they were reclaiming their lives. They were a force ready to take on the world, whatever it might throw at them. And in that transformative moment, Sarah began to realize real wealth didn't lie in money or possessions, but in the brave connections forged through genuine love, strength, and courage. Now was her chance to rewrite their story. The new chapter awaited, and together, they were about to write it. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to catch all the exclusive stories coming your way. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. And leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Every like counts. Make your voice heard. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. Your support means everything.